Hi guys, Chris Levanis for Inside Hardware. Today I'll be showing you how to take apart electronics and staying organized and neat with your screws and cables while doing so. Oftentimes when I'm taking apart an LCD screen or a laptop or a big LCD TV, if the owner's with me, they look at their item and it's like if they get a headache and they go into this other dimension. Oh no, what have we entered? How do you keep track of all of that? Well, the tips I'll show you today will help you stay very organized and keep track of everything you do, and as well to not have leftover screws when you go to put the item it is that you've taken apart back together, and therefore try to stay professional. I've seen different techniques that I do not recommend. One is that of using a tray that resembles, say, your laptop, and then when you take a screw out you place it on the tray in the same order like if it represented your laptop. If someone comes and bumps the tray, your screws are out of order. You do want to keep track of your screws. That is important. Another thing that I have seen that can be insightful is either printing out the manual of the laptop or if you scan your laptop, if you have access to a photocopier, and then what you do is you punch your holes with the screws in the locations of the paper that represent your laptop where you've removed the screws. That can work, but still you're punching holes through paper, not the smartest thing or easiest thing. I've seen people put screws through cardboard boxes and try to write on the cardboard where they got them. That can work depending on your cardboard, or maybe sometimes they'll roll them up in tape. I've seen lots of different methods used, but I've yet to see people use a method like mine, and I do recommend this a lot. For starters, and some of it's just being handy too with what you have around. This is actually what I got started with, is using a ice cube tray. Very handy. One, you put your items in the ice cube tray in order as you go, your screws and so forth, and it does allow for oversized parts, like if you pull out a little DDR2 RAM stick, it can just lay in there, so forth, and just keep them in order as you go. And if you are doing this on a regular basis, you can number the slots, that way you know what order you're going in. The next one is very similar. To use a this is an egg carton. As you see, I've already started to number the different slots, and you can continue and just number them with simple Sharpie. And like the ice cube tray, you can set your screws in order as you go, and these are easy to then pick up because you have a lot of room for your fingers. And you can also put little oversized items that you've removed from whatever you're taking apart. Now this does work, and so does the ice cube tray work. There's one limitation. A lot of times when you're taking something apart, you don't necessarily have the replacement part for it right away. You either need to order it, go purchase it, or so forth. And so what happens is either you should put the whole laptop or whatever the item is back together, or you need to save this and hope that no one knocks these screws over, which sometimes that is very possible, but there are some better solutions. For example, I've gotten very accommodated using these pill cases. As you see, I've already numbered them on. And the benefit with this is that each slot has its own number, and as well it has its own little lid for it. That way I don't have to worry about it getting knocked over. And as well, if you have many of these and you're working on many different items, you can leave this with your laptop, and you can leave another one with your screen with the screws in them as you go. And then when you go with once you receive your new replacement part, you pull out your monitor, you pull out screws that go with it, and you just follow the sequence backwards. So this is very handy. It's also handy because as you are emptying out, going backwards, you can just open the one you need, flip it out, and you have your screws that you need. The last thing I'll be showing you guys is what I've actually started using the most, and I found it to be the simplest. You can buy these at fishing areas in Walmart, or hobby stores like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and they're usually used for beads or fishing hooks and so forth. But I found that numbering my spaces both on the case and on the bottom side, I can go and pulling out my screws and just keeping them neat in order as I pull them from the different parts that I remove them from. In this case, I've also removed some of my middle flaps. That way I can put this metal piece, and if I had small enough RAM, I could even put that in there if I had to remove that or so forth. So this works, and as well, it allows me to store it long term flip over, I don't have to worry about getting knocked out of place. This is what I do recommend the most, but any option depending on what you're working with, if it's a one-time deal, those work as well. Now, what do you do once you've numbered all these boxes and you put screws in? Well, there's different ways to keep track. In this case, I just pull out a sheet and I number it all the way down based on the numbers of boxes or how big the project is. And as I pull out my screws, say I removed 4 from the front side of the LCD bezel of a laptop, alright, be most descriptive as possible. And another thing I like to do when taking notes is I'll write down the number of screws. That way this should match up with number 1 in the box, and it should have the same amount of screws, and maybe even draw a little picture if needed. And what this allows you to do is, as you remove screws as well, say you remove your keyboard, you can write down keyboard, 2 screws. You can even draw a little keyboard and what part of the keyboard you remove the screws from. And then usually when removing a keyboard, you're going to remove a ribbon cable following that. Well, write down remove ribbon cable. And once you've reached the end and you've repaired your project, just follow the steps backwards, cross them off if you need to, and you'll find that you'll have no leftover screws. Clean job, no headaches. As you repeat the process over and over, you actually tend to just learn what kinds of screws go where. So a lot of times I've even stopped taking notes. But sometimes if I am taking apart, say, a laptop that I have just foreign to me, or sometimes if I take apart some like old MacBook Pros, they have tons of different screws from tons of different places. Yes, I keep note of where I got them from, and come up with your own abbreviations and so forth. And let me know if you have some other ideas of stuff that has worked for you. We're interested in finding out. Thank you for watching. Chris Devanis, Inside Hardware.